Giving all honor and praise to the Most High and His Son Yahushua. We got a battle axe of the Most High coming to you on another Wednesday class to be edified in the Most High God's name. The name of the class today is called Destruction of Nicanor. It's one of the most beautiful stories in the Bible. You know, I don't know how brothers feel about this time of year. Just to see, you know how Esau, they celebrate their accomplishment Columbus Day. They celebrate their accomplishment the 4th of July, the Independence Day. They celebrate all their little pagan holidays. So in the Bible, we celebrate all our holy days because our forefathers, guess what, when they conquered, we celebrated too. Just like they tried when they conquered theirs, they celebrate too. So just gonna go ahead and just go get straight into it, man. Let's go to the book of Esther, chapter 9, and start at verse 16. Now keep in mind, like you say, these stories, they're gonna come. These stories, everything we going into today is gonna touch on all of these different aspects, but it also is gonna make sure this point right here, we want brothers and sisters to have this in our mind, right? Read that.
The book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 16. But the other Jews that were in the king's provinces gathered themselves together and stood for their lives.
Read.
And had rest from their enemies. And slew of their foes 70 in 5,000.
75,000, read.
But they laid not their hands on the prey.
They laid not their hands on the prey. They ain't laid their hands on the spoil. We don't.
On the 13th day of the month of Adar.
That's the 12th month of the year.
And on the 14th day of the same rested day. And made it a day of feasting and gladness.
So this is right here that's going into the destruction of Nicanor, what we gonna cover today. Verse 18.
But the Jews that were at Shushan,
the palace,
assembled together on the 13th day thereof.
They assembled today on the 13th day thereof, which is destruction of Nicanor, read.
And on the 14th thereof. And on the 15th day,
which goes in the 13th day is the destruction of Nicanor. The 14th and the 15th day goes into Purim. And we'll be going to that class on the Sabbath. Read on.
On the 15th day of the same, they rested and made it a day of feasting and gladness.
So this is what we're supposed to be doing on our destruction of Nicanor and also on the Feast of Purim. We supposed to be feasting, we'll be resting, which is going into a Sabbath days of rest. We're going into resting and also into what? To feasting and to gladness. So this is why we celebrate the destruction of Nicanor. I know some camps probably don't celebrate the destruction of Nicanor, but I mean, the Bible say what they say. So we celebrate the forefather, our forefather got down. This is how our storyline go, man. Let's go to we're gonna touch on some history, man. Let's go on first Maccabees. Go on ahead and set the tone because the Maccabees, during the Maccabean revolt, we know that our forefathers, they ran. We know during the Maccabean revolt, we know our forefathers wasn't playing the game just like all the rest of the time our forefathers on the earth. With King David, Abraham did not play. Samuel didn't play. All the prophets in the Bible, they were straight to it. When the Most High God said, "Let's get it," let's get it. That's how we felt about it. Let's go to first Maccabees, chapter 1, and start at verse 43. Start at verse 41.
Okay. The book of First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all shall be one people.
So now it's going into King Antiochus. He said that and he wrote to his kingdom that we all should be one kingdom. Now King Antiochus, he ruled the major part of it. So we know we had, Alexander had 4 generals. Who can name the 4 generals? You got
Seleucus, right?
Seleucus.
Cassandra.
and Lysimachus. So he had 4 generals, but within the generals, guess what? They still had kingdoms set up. So, and this was Antioch the fourth. So he was running the show from the mass part, because like you had Ptolemy ruling in his area, you had Cassandra ruling his area, and you had Cilicius coming through the bloodline of Antioch. Antiochus. Antiochus go through the bloodline of Seleucus. But we're gonna cover this today too. Let's read on.
Verse 42. And every one shall leave his laws.
Mm-hmm.
So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king.
Read.
Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion.
Many of the Israelites consented to his religion, read.
And sacrificed unto idols. And profaned the Sabbath.
And profaned the Sabbath, read.
For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem, into the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land.
So now, this is what we do right now. This is how our people. This is how you take away a nation and you strip them from the heritage. You tell it, you forsake your laws and you forsake your God and you do what we do. This is America. This is the modern day America. So this is what we looking at, and this is how we facing. This is how we lost the heritage, going back even before then. But we're gonna cover some stuff and watch how the Maccabean revolt and how the same wicked leaders that they had, they gonna do the same. They doing the same thing. We're gonna correlate both of them one and the same. What they did back in the Maccabean era and what they doing here, because all of them runs just the same. Jump down to verse 48.
Verse 48. That they should also lead their children uncircumcised.
Guess what? Then ain't this what we do right now? A lot of our people leave our children uncircumcised, but according to our custom, we circumcise our children when? On the 8th day.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we supposed to do. But now, guess what? Even if they circumcise a child, they circumcise a child straight out the womb, man. Mm-hmm. This is how Esau roll, man. Whatever our God say to do, they're gonna go against it. Just like you say, even the modern day slavery right now, it's not no hardcore bondage that we had back then, but it's a mental hardcore bondage that they playing with us now.
And go back right quick. Read verse 45, man.
Verse
44 said they should follow the strange laws of the land.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what these strange laws are, man.
Verse 45. And forbid burnt offerings, and sacrifice, and drink offerings in the temple.
Which we know Christ did away with the sacrificial law. But read on.
And that they should profane the Sabbath in feastable days.
But that they should profane what? Stop doing the Sabbath. Stop adhering to the Sabbath that the Most High gave us for what? For ordinance forever.
Mm-hmm.
And the feast days that we're supposed to be doing, like destruction of Nicanor or Passover, things like that. But they said that we should profane those days, man. And it worked, didn't it? Yeah. Our people ain't keeping the Sabbath. Our people ain't keeping now feast day in this Bible, man. Like I went in the class and talked about Paul. Paul kept all the feast days too. But the Christians, we've been so blinded with the laws that they gave us, these strange laws. They're not strange to us anymore. They become natural and normal. Like I said, they still heritages, man. Our racism don't compare to their racism. Our theft don't compare to their theft. They stole the whole heritage from us, man.
Big con.
Go ahead,
Big con. Jump down to verse 48.
Verse 48. That they should also lead their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanity. Profanation.
And profanation is going into, unclean things, profane things. This is how we did. Anything our God tell us to do, they made us to get away from this. That's how they can divide and conquer us, man, as a nation. To
the end that they might forget the law.
That's what happened. After they took us so far away from our law that we forgot our laws. Now when we tell people to keep the law, they're like, dang, they act like our laws is foreign. But this is something what our God gave us from the beginning. Read on.
And change all the ordinances.
And that's what they did, and change all the ordinances. Read on though.
And whosoever will not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die.
So now they said whosoever didn't do the commandment of the king should die. So say for instance right now, they said, look, if y'all keep the 7th day, we're gonna kill y'all. and they come up in there on a Saturday, and all of us sitting here doing class. Who gonna sit here and make an excuse of it? Or who gonna be willing to die for their God? This is how we're gonna have to start thinking, man, as a nation of people. This is not a game, man. Because why I say we're gonna correlate the things back then to right now and see. That's why the Lord said, Psalm 94:16 said, who gonna rise up for me? Because guess what, man? He want us as men to rise up, but he also wants y'all women to rise up to let y'all know, look, even if your husband is at battle, guess what? If he dies at battle, you must continue to fight. This is something that we must do. Guess what? And if you got small children, you must raise them up to show them, hey, your father, he died for our nation. This is what we, like you say, Sirach 33:17, we don't study just for ourselves, but for what? For all those that seek learning, man, right? Jump down to verse, chapter 2 and verse 1. Come on, right up.
Chapter 2.
You're going to do a lot of reading.
First Maccabean chapter 2, verse 1.
Uh-huh.
In those days arose Mattathias.
Now, Mattathias, that's the father of Maccabees, man. Read on.
The son of John. The son of Simeon.
The son of John, son of Simeon, read.
A priest of the son of Joarib.
So now, it's telling you he's a priest of the son of Joarib, read.
From Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin.
So he was a what? He would be what in the tribe? What would he be considered as?
A priest.
What is a priest?
A Levite.
A Levite.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he'd be considered as, a Levite, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, we know that even, okay, the Maccabeans, they Levite, but what happened to, this is not the only account that when you see, now these Levites, they rose up and they did what was right. But watch this, I'm going to show y'all something on the side note. See if I can find it right quick. Watch this. Let me see if I can find it right quick. Might be a second. Y'all bear with me for 1 second, man.
Hey, go while you looking for that. Go back to 1 and read verse 51 and 52, man. Read 52.
The book of First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 52.
Mm-hmm.
Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, every one that forsook the law, and so they committed evils in the land.
And read 51, Shlak.
51.
Mm-hmm.
51. In the selfsame manner wrote he to his whole kingdom,
And what?
and appointed overseers over all the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city.
So today's modern day, what would those overseers be?
Politicians.
Oh, yeah.
Police. He put overseers over us to make sure that we wasn't keeping the laws. That's what they doing. They got the police out here making us keep their laws. They running up on us making sure we ain't speeding. Oh, we ain't committing grand theft or grand larceny, whatever the case may be. Not the laws of the Bible. But they set up overseers. This is the same thing going over and over. That's why this Bible, man, it self-proclaims itself each and every time. Like I said, it regenerates itself, man. It said the self-same manner wrote to his people, to the whole kingdom, and appointed overseers of all the people. These are the police from modern day police, man. Commanded the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city. And that's what they're doing, man. They don't want us to keep these laws. They're not putting us over talking about, hey, you ain't keeping the laws. Because who were the police in our kingdom? Who really should be police in our kingdom? We should be.
Exactly.
We didn't need no damn overseers. Hell, all we need is the law. Right. That's all we need. But just to show you, man, you found it out.
Yeah.
Come on.
The book, let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 22. Start at verse 9 right quick.
29.
Yeah.
The book of 1 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 9. Then answered Doeg the Edomite.
So guess what? This is just, now, Saul had appointed this wicked Edomite named Doeg. You can tell he was a wicked person, man. Look at his name, Doeg. Look like he up to no good. I could just look at you like a rat or something. Read on.
Then answered Doeg the Edomite, which was set over the servants of Saul.
Because he put this Edomite over the servants of Saul, right? I mean, Saul put him over his servants. Read on.
And said, I saw the son of Jesse coming to Nob in Ahimelech, the son of Ahitub.
So now, he said, basically, they was talking about what I seen, basically going to King David. They seen King David. So now, the people was looking. So he was like, he was mad at all the people and all the priests that, why y'all didn't tell me that David was in here? And they like, so the priest like, well, David ain't did nothing for you to be mad at. So what's your problem? So Saul looking at the people, and he was so wroth that they didn't tell them that David was there. Jump down to verse 17. Watch this.
Verse 17. And the king said unto the footmen that stood about him, turn and slay the priest of the Lord.
So now he told the footmen, he told his soldiers, hey man, turn and slay the priest. Because he was mad at the priest because they didn't tell him that David was there. Right? Read.
Because their hand also is with David.
Uh-huh.
And because they knew when he fled.
Because he said, a reason why I want y'all to slay them, because they with David. They with King David. And they let him flee away. Read.
And did not show it to me.
And didn't show it to me. That's why he mad, because they didn't show me that David was here, right? Read.
But the servants of the king would not put forth their hand to fall upon the priest of the Lord.
So they was there, the army, they like, nah, we ain't finna kill them, man. We ain't finna do that. But watch this though, read.
And the king said to Doeg, turn thou and fall upon the priest.
So now the king said to an Edomite, this is Doeg the Edomite. Saul told Doeg the Edomite to go kill the priest, man. Read.
And Doeg the Edomite turned, and he fell upon the priest, and slew on that day 75 persons that did wear a linen ephod.
So everybody that wore a linen ephod, who was the people that wore the linen ephod? That was the priest. And he turned around here, let the Edomite slew the priest, man. Look how wicked Saul is, man. People just looking at how some of the wickedness Saul was doing continually wicked stuff that the Most High God didn't like, man. Read.
And Nob, the city of the priests, smote he with the edge of the sword.
Did you read verse 19? You know.
Okay, and Nob, the city of the priests, smote he with the edge of the sword. Both men and women, children and sucklings, and oxen and asses and sheep, with the edge of the sword.
So guess what? He didn't just kill the priest. He went in the city of Nob and killed men, women, children, suckling, which is going into babies, oxen, asses, sheep, with the edge of the sword. So, you know, he told, if you see what Saul told Doeg, he told him to kill the priest. He went in and killed every damn body, man. That's how he saw they avenge for some blood, man. This is how they work, man. This is like I said, they go overboard, especially in shit. To do us bad, oh, let's go do these niggas but real bad. That's how they roll, man. Let's go back. First Maccabean chapter 2. Like I said, I want to cover some of this go into some of this history so brothers and sisters can see how our forefathers, the wicked side of our forefathers, but also some on how our forefathers, how they got down. So back then with King Saul, he told Doeg to kill the priest. Now the priest having a revolt right now against the Edomite. So we finna switch the roles on this thing right here.
2 and 1.
2. You started verse 1.
The book of First Maccabees, chapter 2, verse 1. In those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the son of Jorel, from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin. And he had 5 sons: Joanne, called Cadus, Simon called Thassus, Judas, who was called Maccabee,
the hammer, read.
Eleazar, called Abiram, and Jonathan, whose surname was Ephes.
So now it's talking about Mattathias' 5 sons, but Mattathias, we ain't gonna read the whole story in chapter 2 because we don't want to get away from our point. We just going into a little history, so when we build up to the story, everybody can have a better understanding. Because a lot of times when we read the Bible, we fail to realize that we read the Bible and we read it blindly. So we want to make the story come to life once we read the story, right? Jump down to verse 64.
Verse 64. Wherefore, ye my son, be valiant, and show yourselves men in the behalf of the law.
So now he was telling, now Mattathias was on his deathbed and he was going to get ready to die. He was giving his children the charge on what to do. Just like King David was giving Solomon on charge on what to do, right? Read on.
For by it shall ye obtain glory.
He said, by keeping the laws, he said, for by it, this is how you retain the glory of the Most High God, right? Read.
And behold, I know that your brother Simon is a man of counsel.
So now he's giving them understanding. Simon is the man of counsel. That's the person that y'all need to go listen to, because he's going to stay more in the spirit. He's going to be diligent. Guess what? And you ain't got to worry about him wavering left to right. He's going to stay right on course with the Most High God. So he said, he's telling the brothers and everybody that's around to listen to Simon because he's in charge now, right? Read.
Give ear unto him always.
He said, give ear unto him always, right? Read.
He shall be a father unto you.
He said, he shall be a father unto you. Read.
For as Judas Maccabees, he had been mighty and strong.
So he looking at Judas Maccabee. Guess what? He was the type of person, hey, when it's time to go to war, he's the type of person you need to put him in the front line because he's going to handle the business for the nation. He's not going to be afraid no matter what size the army is. He going to come and he going to bring the pain, thus saith the Lord, right? Read.
Even from his youth up.
Even from his youth up, read.
Let him be your captain.
He said, let him be your captain, read.
And fight the battle of the people.
And fight the battle because he knew that Judas was a man that wasn't afraid. To whatever the conflict, whatever it had to be, he knew Judas was ready to defend the nation and to die for the nation at any time. Read on.
Take also unto you all those that observe the law.
So he's telling them to take also unto them everybody that observed the law. Wait a minute. Let me see. Go to no, I don't think I want to. No, I don't want to. No, I don't want to put it right now. Go ahead. Go ahead.
67 from the top.
Mm-hmm.
Take also unto you all those that observe the law, and avenge ye the wrong of your people.
Now it's telling you, he said, take also unto you all those that observe the law. Why? Because we didn't want no sin in the midst of the camp when we was ready to go to battle, right? Because when we got sin in the midst of camp, guess what? We want the Most High God probably won't fight for us. So we wanted people that was diligent and that was ready to keep the commandments and ready to lead the charge by fighting the good fight for the Most High God. Read.
Recompense fully the heathen.
He said, recompense fully the heathen, not partially, fully. He said, when y'all get ready to take them, go all the way with them. Do not play. He giving them straight instructions, man, straight commandments, man. Read on.
And take heed to the commandments of the law. So he blessed them.
So he did what?
So he blessed them.
So that's the blessing that he was giving down to his children, man. Read.
And was gathered to his fathers.
So that means he gave up the ghost. Read.
And he died in the 146th year. And his sons buried him in the sepulchre of his fathers at Modin.
Modin, read.
And all Israel made great lamentation
so
for him.
They made a great lamentation for Mattathias, man. Because guess what? Mattathias wasn't, if you go back into the chapters, Mattathias didn't play the game either. He was a man of good counsel, but also he was a man, he was also a man of war, his son was just like Maccabees. He was ready to go, man. That's why, even like you say, I don't know if brothers knew that, but I know I mentioned it once before, just like the book of Jude, that come from Judas Maccabees. And a lot of people, you read there like, Jude, what does that mean? No, it come from, even if you look at your footnotes, it clearly says that in your footnotes too, in your Bible. Go on to chapter 3, verse 1.
First Maccabees chapter 3, verse 1. Then his son Judas, called Maccabees, rose up in his stead.
So now he's telling us that His son Maccabees rose up in his stead. And what was they going into? He was the person that's supposed to lead the charge. Because at this time, what was happening? There was in all kind of wars. There was in all kind of wars, man. Read on.
And all his brethren helped him.
And all his brethren helped him, man. Read.
And so did all they that held with his father, and they fought with cheerfulness the battle of Israel.
Man, it didn't say that they fought with, it didn't say that they fought with anger. It didn't say they fought with aggression. It didn't say they would fought with fear. It said they fought with cheerfulness. This is how we supposed to be in this walk right now. We supposed to be, guess what? It's supposed to be fighting a good fight for cheerfulness, man. Everybody in should be wearing their fringes because it's cheerfulness. Everybody, women should be covering their heads when the scripture's coming out in cheerfulness. They should be having their dresses on in cheerfulness. Men should be, guess what? Being stand up, guess what? Directing their houses. Men supposed to be keeping the charge of the Lord, making sure the children is keeping the charge of the Lord. Men supposed to be growing their beard out if you can grow one. These are the things, these like simple things, but these things is reality for Israel, man. To keep the charge of the Most High God cheerfully. Dang, I gotta get another shirt with some fringe on it. Yes, you do. You do. Dang, we going to the Sabbath class again? Yes, you are. You're going. It's supposed to be with cheerful, not moping or not, another Sabbath day coming. You think the Lord looking at you? Guess what? But when you call on him, he said, "Down, nigga, keep moping. Keep on moping." This was a cheerful thing for them to go out to battle against the other nations, right?
Let me get the precept right quick. Psalm 137:8. Because like I said, you got to be able to take it on all sides of this thing, man. Like you said, you got to be happy and joyous of what you're Israelite, happy and joyous of your nationality and what we bring to the table as far as being Israelite, your garment, your clothing, your attire. And also when we do actually go to battle. They went to battle cheerfully. Psalm 137:8.
The book of Psalms, chapter 137, verse 8.
Mm-hmm.
O daughter of Babylon, who ought to be destroyed,
Mm-hmm.
happy shall he be.
Happy shall he be that what?
That rewarded thee as thou hast served us.
And so they say and the father Mattathias told him, he said, reward them what? Recompense fully the heathen. So he said, we're going to be happy who ought to be destroyed, happy shall he be that rewarded thee as thou hast served us, man. Read on.
Happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stone.
And the Bible said that we should be happy about this thing, man. Happy should we be. That will reward them how they rewarded us, right? We should be able to take this thing cheerfully, man, with great honor. You know what I'm saying? You smash and miss out the Edomites with smiles on their face. You know what I'm saying? They ever get a glimpse of you in battle, you see an Israelite out there just smiling with a stomp. They be like, what was he thinking about? He was in the spirit. You know what I'm talking about? That brother was in the spirit. He was stomping out Edomite in the spirit, man. Destruction of Nicanor, like I said, is a great class, man. Because we did the Edomite something bad, man. For real. I'm talking about chopping our heads and all kind of things, man. Go back. That's it. I'll go ahead.
Big con on that. Now, we could jump down and go into, because in Antioch they had a lot of generals too that came up after them. Because if you jump down to verse 10, we're not going to read it. Apollonius was a general. If you jump down to verse 13, Saron was a general. Now, when they was going, and guess what? These were two generals that Antiochus sent out to go fight against Judas Maccabees. But guess what happened? He kicked their butts, man. And they didn't like that, man. They did not like that Judas Maccabees kicked their butts, so they really wanted more smoke from Maccabees, man. So let's jump down to verse 19.
Verse 19. For the victory of the battle standeth not in the multitudes of an host, but strength coming from heaven.
He said, but strength coming from, he said, the victory don't come, he said, victory of the battle standing not in the multitude of the host. So guess what? Every battle that Judas Maccabee fought, he didn't have a whole lot of people with him. Not every single battle. Even though they Because we gonna see how they stacked the deck up against Judas Maccabee, and guess what? He still never wavered. He still wasn't scared. He kept the people that was around him, he kept them in the spirit. Read on.
Verse 20. They come against us in much pride.
Because a lot of people, even when we battling them on the street, what did they do? They come, and this is a spiritual war that we fight. He fought the physical war, but right now we fighting the spiritual war. They come against us in what? In much pride. They got a lot of pride on them, man. Read.
And iniquity do they to destroy us.
In iniquity to destroy us, read.
And our wives and children, and to spoil us.
Because they want to, guess what? They want to defeat the men. And this ain't the modern day, how we live. They wanted to defeat the men so we could take their wives and their children. So now we can have their children, control them in our school systems. Guess what? We can take your wife. We're going to take your wife to our job. We're going to control them in your job. Guess what? When she come on, if you got to start arguing with her, and guess what? She call the police on her so she can make you shut your mouth.
They want to see a bunch of Patrick Mahomes and Blake Griffins.
That's it.
That's what they want. They want the whole world to be Patrick Mahomes and Blake Griffin.
They just want to, guess what?
Patrick Griffin, Blake Mahomes.
For real. And that's all they want out of us. They want us, they want the men to be disquieted, and they want the women, guess what? So they control the women. And a lot of our women love to be controlled by them. That's just keep it where it's at. Because a lot of women don't like to stay in their place. So therefore they let you know you do like what they telling you. I can't call the police on this nigga. I can say he hit me so I can make him get out of my house. I can't do that. Nah. That ain't how we supposed to roll though. That's the reason why when you see us battling, how you think they looking at Christ? Even when Christ was on the scene, Christ was fighting a spiritual fight. He didn't go to that seminary school. Watch this. He even showed. Watch it. Go to John 7 and 14 right quick. John chapter 7. Start at verse 14. Watch how Christ got down, man. This is going into the spiritual fight. Because Christ fought the good fight. But this is what Christ was telling them. I didn't learn in y'all temple. No, this spirit right here. Guess what's going into your seminary school? Because the scribes and Pharisees back then had what? The seminary schools that they had traditional way to teach. Just like they do right now, the traditional way to teach, right? Read it.
The book of St. John, chapter 7, verse 14.
Uh-huh.
Now about the midst of the feast, Yahushua went up into the temple and taught.
He went into the temple and taught, read.
And the Jews marveled, saying, how knoweth this man letters, having never learned?
He said, how did this man know the Bible and he never went to the school? That's going into the seminary schools that we have right now. How did they just like us? How they look us on the street? How do y'all know the Bible?
I ask you, who ordained you?
It's like no, but not just that. They'll be amazed to be like, I can't believe y'all really know the Bible that well. They are in real shock. Like, dang, I cannot believe these people really know. Y'all really know the Bible like this. We didn't go to y'all schools. That's how they marvel at Christ. They're like, damn, I can't. He said, read verse 15 again. That's the same thing. They marvel at us when we teach them. Read that.
Verse 15. And the Jews marveled, saying, how knoweth this man letters, having never learned?
It said he ain't never learned. He ain't never come to the school. How did he know this? Read.
Yahushua answered them and said, my doctrine is not mine, but his that sent me.
It's him that sent me. This is the Most High God's doctrine. This is not my doctrine. This is what we say to the nations. This is not our doctrine. This is the Most High. This is literally in the Bible. The same Bible you read, it's right here. They like, dang, they quote scriptures. They pull scriptures. They can tell you where it's at. They ask you what. We on the corner all Sabbath day. All day long, no matter how long we there, we out there answering question after question after question. Y'all just realize that. I thought about the first day I even went out. I said, dang, man, brothers is really out in the corner answering every single question. No matter what. It's not running from no questions. Bring it. And guess what? Every weekend, guess what happened? Undefeated. Read on verse 16.
Verse 16.
Verse 17.
Verse 17. If any man will do his will, he shall know of the doctrine. Whether it be of God or whether I speak of myself.
So now he's saying if you doing the will of the Most High God, if you keeping the commandments of, guess what? You know if the doctrine is just Christ is talking, or if it just if this doctrine come from the Most High. Just like us. If us keeping the commandments, You will know if this doctrine that we just running our mouth talking, or if this coming straight out the Bible. If it just come from the Most High. You will know it. Right? Let's go back. Let's go back to 1 Maccabees chapter 3. And we left out with verse 20. Verse 21 is the point though.
The book of 1 Maccabees chapter 3 verse 20. They come against us in much pride and iniquity to destroy us and our wives and children and to spoil us. But we fight for our lives and our laws. Because
this is what we're going to do. We're going to fight for our lives and for the laws, man. This is the key goal. This is our goal. We fighting for our own lives, but we fighting for the laws, man. This is going into us fighting for our nation. The next coming up brothers that's supposed to be teaching. The next coming up soldiers that's supposed to be reading. This is what we fighting for, our lives and for our laws, man. We laying it out. Guess what? This is the time not to hold back the gifts that the Most High God give you. This is not the time to hold back the wisdom that the Most High God give you. This is the time to put forth the wisdom, ready to fight for our lives and ready to, guess what? For our nation to be risen up again, man. There's so many people that have so many talents that can bring forth stuff and they hold back. Why? Because that's on your own selfish accord, man. It's not. That's not the Most High God doctrine. This is the Most High God doctrine. Tell us to what? He give you 5 talents. What are you supposed to do? Use all 5 talents. If you give you 1 talent, what you supposed to do? Use that 1 talent. But if you hide your talent and you bury your talent, what happened? He take it from the 1 and he give it to the person that got 5. We know the story. We can pretend like it's not there, but scriptures say what they say, right? Jump down to verse 26.
Verse 26. Insomuch as his fame came unto the king, and all nations talked of the battles of Judas.
So Judas kicked them 2 general butts. So now everybody in the nation, they marveling over Judas. They're like, dang, this dude right here been tearing us up, man. People marvel over because guess what, man? He was kicking butts and taking names. What I'm doing is kind of just giving you a rough outline on how this Bible is written, man. Because that's what the Lord commanded us to do. Wait a minute. Let me see. See if I can find that mug. Then this is what we supposed to be doing, like in our walk. You know how we break down the scripture. How we break down the scripture. This is how the Lord's supposed to do. We supposed to take the best points of the Bible. Now we know what's that? In 1 Maccabees chapter 6, we know Antiochus died, right? But after Antiochus died, his footmen did what? Hey, they went took it to another level, right? Let's go to 2 Maccabees chapter. Dang, what that name would be? Go to 2 Maccabees chapter 8 and verse 8. Yeah, 2 Maccabees chapter 8 and verse 8.
The book of 2 Maccabees chapter 8 and verse 8. So when Philip saw that this man increased by little and little, and that things prospered with him still more and more, he wrote unto
Ptolemy, read.
The governor of Seleucia,
yeah.
In Phoenix.
In Phoenix, read.
To yield more aid to the kings of Pharaoh.
So now, as Judas Maccabees studied going and conquering the whole time. Now, this is not these things. These accounts is going to 5 and 10 and 15 and 20 years at a time. Like because if you look at the scriptures, some scriptures, this could be happening at that present time when it's talking about Assyria. But then the very next scripture can be going at 150 years to 200-300 years later. Sometimes this is how the scripture rolls. Sometimes the scripture can be going, it'll be at that present time, like say when we're talking about the Syrian captivity, the next scripture can be going a year later or a day later. This is how the scriptures can roll. That's why you need to make sure brothers and sisters have the best mindset when you read. Watch this right quick. This is how when y'all reading, when y'all breaking down story, this is why we try to get brothers in the mindset when y'all teaching y'all classes, because our forefathers had the same mindset even when they wrote, like when this Bible was written, right? Go to y'all hold y'all point, because I want this is the point. I got to make this point for brothers so y'all can be able to have a good understanding on how this Bible was written, right? We know to get the deep, dark purple, we got to go precept upon precept according to Isaiah chapter 9, verse 10. Go to 2 Maccabees chapter 2 and start at verse 23. This, y'all need to lock this in. If you want to get a better understanding on how this Bible is being wrote, this is it, right? Read this out.
The book of 2 Maccabees chapter 2 verse 23.
Mm-hmm.
All these things I say, being declared by Jason of Syrian in 5 books.
In 5 books, read.
We will assay to a bridge in 1 volume.
He gonna say to a bridge. What does a bridge mean? It means to shorten it up without losing the focal point of the story, right? This is how we teach our class. We don't go, guess what? We could read the whole thing, but guess what? We just be reading the whole thing. But how this Bible was written and how we supposed to be doing, we supposed to read the story. It's our job to study so we can teach the ones that learning to abridge this book, right? We supposed to be abridging the Bible, read.
For considering the infinite number and the difficulty which they find that desire to look into the narration of the story. For the variety of the matter.
It said for the considering of the infinity number, because it's so many stories. It's so many things in the Bible that could have been wrote down that is not written down. Just like even when it tells us in John, Christ did so many miracles to the point that it couldn't be all of it could have been written. This is how the Bible being wrote, right? Read on.
Verse 25. We have been careful that they that will read may have delight, and that they that are desirous to commit to memory might have ease.
Might have ease, read.
And that all into whose hands it comes mighty to have profit.
So if you going and you trying to abridge a story, you want to get the best focal points out of there so you can do what? So the people can still prosper out of and profit from the things that you write, for the things that you teach. And this is how the Bible, like you say, when they abridge these stories in the Bible, they abridge them to get the most hardest hit focal points so we can be able to know this Bible and to learn this Bible. Read on, Doc.
Therefore unto us, they have taken upon us this painful labor of a bridge.
It said taking unto us a painful labor of a bridge. That means we going into when we literally digging this thing in, right? Guess what? The people that wrote the Bible, they had painful labor. Guess what? It didn't come easy for them to write. No, these things was, it say, a painful labor, right? Read.
It was not easy.
It was not easy, read.
But a matter of sweat and watching.
This is how this Bible was put together, of sweat and watching, read.
Even as it is no ease unto him that prepared a banquet.
You know how hard is it, just like a person that prepared a banquet, how hard it is for them to put that banquet together? Then once a person be at the banquet, they don't realize what goes into the decoration. The putting just a little small thing. I'm going to put a candle right in this corner. I'm going to put the lights like this, have the lights shining this way. I'm going to have the curtains going this way, have the strings going this way. It's a lot of count. Everybody like, ooh, it's pretty because it's all put together. But when you're going through the pain, putting it together, guess what? You might be in here fussing and fighting like a mug putting this thing together. But when everybody come in, ooh, it's pretty. Because you see the aftermark of the thing, right? Read on.
And seeketh the benefit of others. Yet for the pleasure of many.
Let for the pleasure of many, read.
We will undertake gladly this great pain.
So for the pleasure of many, the people wrote the Bible in great pains, man. And this is how we supposed to be breaking it down. Rightfully what? Dividing the word. Read.
Leaving to the author the exact handling of every particular. And laboring to follow the rules of the abridgment.
It said labor to follow the rules of the abridgment. Look up the definition of abridge. Abridge and abridgment mean the same thing. You got to make the story smaller, but get the most focal point, the biggest point out of the story, so a person won't lose the benefit of the story. This is the best way for us to teach, but this is also how the Bible was written too, so we can get the best focal point of the story. Read that.
Let me see. We get a Action over bridging text.
But you put a bridge, put a bridge, it's going to the same thing. Just put a bridge. The bridge and the bridge meant be the same.
Shorten without losing the sense.
This is what the rules of a bridge is. To shorten the story up without losing the sense. Okay. Read.
Verse 29.
Go ahead, Doc.
Verse 29. For as the master builder of a new house must care for the whole building.
This is how the people, when they were putting the Bible together, how the master builder of the whole house kept me, how the master builder, Shalaki,
For as the master builder
of a new house must care for the whole building.
But he that undertaketh to set it out and paint it,
read.
must seek out fit things for the adorn thereof.
For the adorn thereof, read.
Even so, I think it is with us.
So now, how they take it careful, just like you say, how the master builder, he construction, which is Christ is the master builder, how he putting the Bible, how he putting the words of God together. He constructing this thing to give it to us. Guess what? And we are the ones that painting the picture. Those are the people I call the prophets and the seers. Y'all get that? How the master builder, he cared for the whole house. The whole house is going to the nation of Israel. And how the painters do, which is us, we are the painters. We are the people that make the people see, the seers. It must fit what the Bible says. So when we breaking down the Bible, these things must fit, right? Read.
Verse 30. To stand upon every point.
To stand upon every point. This is how the Bible is being written. Read.
And go over things at large. And to be curious in particular. Belonging to the first author of the story.
It said this thing right here, it said standing upon every point and go over things at large and to be curious in particulars, because certain things had to go in here and certain things could not come into the Bible, right? Not at this time right here, because everything gonna be revealed when Christ come back on the scene. You know.
But to use brevity and avoid much laboring of the work.
Now let's see what the word brevity means.
The word brevity means shortness of time or
right to the point.
Examples of brevity: hope or salaki, the quality of expressing something in very few words.
This is what the Bible is reading, man. It's got a hold to us. It might be looking like a lot of reading, but this is very few words. That it's so much more than like this Bible is really a heavy book, man.
And this the example. I hope the teacher exercises brevity in his teaching today.
Big time. With small words, with not a whole bunch of words. This is how this thing trying to give a brother, sister outlines. That's why. So when you go see us going through the story, sometimes we might go through. We have to read a lot of the story to get a point, but you'll see us jumping down. So don't lose focal point just because we jump down, because we want to get the main focal points. So the point, but while we're getting the main focal points, we don't want to miss the point of the story. And this is how, like you say, how the Bible has been written too. Read up.
But to use brevity and avoid much laboring of the work is to be granted to him that will make an abridgment.
They're making an abridgment, going straight to the points, right? Read.
Here then will we begin the story. Only add thus much to that which has been said.
And what been said, read.
That it is a foolish thing to make a long prologue and to be short in the story itself.
So it's saying now, it's saying it's foolish to make a long prologue, but it also is what is also, you don't supposed to make it too short that a person can't understand. It goes into us teaching, but it also goes into how our forefathers was thinking when they was writing the Bible. So we'll make sure that brothers write that down, how the Bible was written besides that, because this is how they literally went in and broke the stories down in the Bible. You know, like I say, a lot of times we get things confused. We want to make sure that brothers and sisters have a great foundation. When we come to class, we're going to learn something. When we ain't learning something, some got to be out. Let's go back. Just like it say, I'm going to read this, John chapter 21, verse 25. There are also many things which Jesus did that Jesus did, which if they should be written, everyone, I suppose that even the world itself could not contain the books that should be written. Amen. You see how that thing goes? It's so many things that he did that the world couldn't even contain it. That's why we had to have people. He had to have people to break the story down, not to shorten it up, but to break it down just enough so people can be able to get the understanding. Let's go back to 2 Maccabees chapter 8. Now, watch how, like I said, we're going to do the correlation from then to right now. Watch this. Maccabees chapter 8. Maccabees chapter 8. 2 Maccabees chapter 8, verse 9.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 8, verse 9.
Mm-hmm.
Then forthwith, choosing Nicanor, the son of Patroclus, one of his special friends, he sent him with no fewer than 20,000 of all nations under him.
20,000 of all nations upon him. Watch this.
To root out the whole generations of the Jews.
To root out the whole generation of the Jews, read.
And with him he joined also Gorgias, a captain, who in matters of war had great experience.
So Gorgias had a matter of war. He had great experience in war. But he was like one of Antiochus, they call him captain, but he was one of the generals. Just like we would read about Cyrene and what's his other dude? Whatever his name is. Cyrene and what's his face? His name, what's his face? Cyrene and Polynices. Read on.
Verse 20, verse 10. So Nicanor undertook to make so much money of the captive Jews.
Oh, he said after Nicanor took to make so much money of the captive Jews, read.
And should defray the tribute of 2,000 talents, which the king was to pay to the Romans.
So Nicanor was selling some of the Jews. Y'all see how this thing go? We try to say we're gonna correlate to this thing right now. Nicanor was literally in there selling Jews, man. This is a heavy thing, man. The same thing how they was doing back then, they had always got us and sold us, man. And you know what? And a lot of time, you know, when you look at the prison system, you know, and according to their books, when you go into prison, you go back into slavery. And you know the crazy thing? Why do they keep sending people from prison to prison to prison? I ain't saying that they selling them, but it's mighty funny why you keep shipping them around, though.
Right.
Same thing they doing now.
Right.
It's mighty funny. Read on.
Wherefore immediately he sent to the cities upon the sea coast.
So guess what? They were sending us to slavery by ships then. If y'all seeing this, he said he was selling some of the Jews by what? By sea coast. We didn't just go on slavery on ships back right now in the present time. We was slavery back then too, on ships. Y'all see how this thing going? Read.
Proclaiming a sale of the captive Jews.
This is crazy, man. Read.
Proclaiming a sale of the captive Jews and promising that they should have 4 and 10 bodies for 1 talent.
So they was giving them 1 talent equals to what, like 60 to 70 pounds of gold. For what, 10 slaves? This is how this thing will go, man. For 10 bodies, for 4 and 10 bodies for 1 talent of silver. Read on.
Not expecting the vengeance that was to follow upon him from the Almighty God.
Said this is not expected from the vengeance. He didn't give a damn about the vengeance of the Almighty God. He didn't give a damn about our God. He didn't care about him. Yeah, I'm going to put these niggas in captivity. What they going to do? You ain't going to do nothing about it. We're going to put them on slave ship, just like Deuteronomy 28:68 said. And no man can buy us, right? This is how the devil played, man. Let's get to the story. 2 Maccabees 14. Start at verse 1, man. Let's get to that thing. To the good part of it.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 14, verse 1. After 3 years was Judas informed that Demetrius, the son of Seleucus, Seleucus, having entered by the heaven of Tripolis, with a great power and navy.
So now, this is what I told you. King Antiochus, guess what he's going through? I said that lineage is going through the same out of Cilicius. What I was telling you earlier, right? Read on.
Having taken the country and killed Antiochus and Cilicius his protector.
He said kill Antiochus and Cilicius his protector. Cilicius is going into another general. Read.
Now one Alcimus, who had been high priest.
Now, Alcimus is one wicked ass Negro, man. Alcimus is one of the wickedest people, man. Man, I'm telling you, he hopping, stepping, fetching Bob to the 400,000 power. Alcimus was weak, man. He know. We just read in 2 Maccabees chapter 8 how they were selling us on slave ship, but he wanted us. When we read in 1 Maccabees chapter 1 how we were supposed to leave our religion and leave our laws to come to the king's law. But if we didn't do it, we was gonna be put to death. So Alcimus, he wanted Maccabees to do what the Most High. He wanted Maccabees to do what the king said instead of the Most High God's law. No, we are to obey God rather than man. Watch this, read.
And had defiled himself willfully in the times of their mingling with the Gentiles.
So he defiled himself willfully with them, man. He want to make himself, that's one of them hopping Bob, stepping, fetching. Stepping. Hey, he wanted, they ain't stepping, like what he say, who's that nigga on that nag, man? Read.
Seeing that by no means he could save himself.
See, he said, seeing by no means he could save himself, read.
Nor have any more access to the holy altar.
So guess what? He ain't got no more access to the holy altar because guess what? This dude he's one of them people that wanted rank so bad. He'll do anything for rank. He wanted anything. Alcimus wanted to be the high priest so bad, he'd do anything to destroy his nation to get there. Something we got to watch for, man. Read on.
Came to King Demetrius in the 101 and 15th year. Presented unto him a crown of gold.
Now he gave Demetrius a crown of gold. He gave this stuff out of our temple. He gave him a crown of gold. Read.
In a palm.
In a palm, read.
And also the boughs which were used solemnly in the temple. And so that day he held his peace.
So now he started giving them stuff out of the temple, and he held his peace. He didn't say nothing to him right then, but he wanted to butter the king up to let the king know, I'm defiling myself with y'all. I'm with everything y'all with. I'm gonna give y'all a couple gifts and everything to let y'all know that I'm with y'all. This is how Alcimus was trying to do with the king, because he wanted to be. Guess what? He wanted to be on the other side with them. Read on, Doc.
Howbeit, having gotten opportunity to further his foolish enterprise, and being called into counsel by Demetrius, and that's how the Jews stood affected, and what they intended, he answered thereunto.
So he asking. So Demetrius said, "Okay, if you really for us, so what these Jews over there doing?" He asking them a question. What these Jews doing? Read.
Those are the Jews that be called Assyrians, whose captain in Judas Maccabees nourished war.
So he's telling them. He said, "Yeah, them Jews, they them people over there that stand in the city, man. You know what? And that people, that dude that's over them Judas Maccabees. Guess what? He said he nourished war. What you do when you nourish something? You love it. He nourished war. He loved it, and they know his nerve. They know he loved war. He just got to kicking some butt, right? Read on.
And are seditious, and will not let the realm be in peace.
He said he's not gonna let it. He said, man, he telling them, look, long as this nigga over there, long as he over there army, long as he running the show, it ain't gonna be no peace for you. He laying it out for. He had laying it out. Alcimus laying it out for the Edomite king Demetrius. Read on.
Therefore I, being deprived of my ancestors' honor.
So he said, I'm being deprived of my ancestors' honor. He wasn't being deprived. Guess what? It was because of your own wicked deeds that just happened. It ain't because somebody did something to him. Ain't nobody did a dang thing to Alcimus. Alcimus wanted some rank so bad till he can sell out his whole nation, man. Alcimus wanted to be high priest. No, Alcimus, you're not gonna be the high priest, man. They don't see it in you, man. The nation don't see it in you, man. You know? Read on.
I mean the high priesthood am now come hither.
He said, I am now come here to read.
First, verily for the unfeigned care, I have things pertaining to the king. And secondly, even that I intend the good of my own countrymen.
And so he telling them, he said, first, verily for the unfeigned care I have of the things pertaining to the king, and Secondly, even for that I intend the good of my own. He telling them I'm the spokesman for Israel. Maccabees not the spokesman. I'm the spokesman, right? This is what he telling the king. Read.
Even for that, I intend the good of mine own countrymen.
He said he know what's good for his nation. Read.
For all our nation is in no small misery through the unadvised dealing of them aforesaid.
So he said, man, look here, man. The way that they doing, don't worry about it. I got everything under control. I just need you to do what I just need you to let me step in and do what I need to do to save my nation. This is what he trying to tell the king. I want to save my nation. Let's go to Jude right quick. Jude verse 1, chapter 1. It's only one chapter. Jude verse 4.
The book of Jude, chapter 1, verse 4. For there are certain men creeped in unaware.
Crept in unawares, read.
Who were before of old ordained
To
this condemnation.
Read.
Ungodly men.
Ungodly men, read.
Turning the grace of our God into lasciviousness. And denying the only Lord God and our Lord Yahushua.
Read.
I will therefore put you in remembrance, though ye once knew this, how that the Lord, having saved the people out of the land of Egypt,
Read.
afterward destroyed them that believed not.
So now he should know the history, how the Lord took them out of Egypt. Guess what? And he once destroyed them that believed not. Now, Moses, this is already written that the Lord is going to take us back into Egypt again, which is on slavery again with ships. We read in Maccabees chapter 8 that they was doing what? Taking us on slave ship. He knew the history. But he going to be put in remembrance that, hey, the ones that believe not too. Guess what? The Lord destroyed them. Just like Alcimus. The Lord going to destroy his butt too, because what? He should knew better. You want to be the high priest? How you did not know this, though? You did know it. But guess what you did? You suck out, you forsake the laws of the Lord. You forsake the prophets of the Lord, and you did your own will. Go to Lamentation 4:17. You might cool down to the high. You get the ark read.
The book of Lamentations, chapter 4, verse 17. As for us, our eyes has yet failed for our vain help. In our watching, we have not watched. Shalaka. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us.
Because this is what Alchemists trying to do. Trying to go to a nation that could not save them. Man, what the Alchemists going to do? I mean, what is their nation going to do against our God, man? You can't do nothing, man. Just run your mouth, man. Read.
They hunt our steps.
They do what?
They hunt our steps.
This is what they was doing to us, man. Read.
That we cannot go in our streets. Our end is near. Our days are fulfilled. For our end is come.
For our end is come. So the main point of he trying to go to a nation that couldn't do what? Couldn't save them. Because when the Most High God, when he set forth his order, it's going to go through. Right? Let's go back to 2 Maccabees, chapter 14. Like Alchemist looking for a nation. This nation can't save him. What is that? What is this nation going to do to save him, man? Not nothing, man. Verse 10. Verse 10.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 14, verse 10.
Did I skip
9? We at 9.
Yeah, read that.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 14, verse 9. Wherefore, O king, seeing thou knowest all these things, be careful for the country and our nation.
So he's saying, Lord, he's telling the king, guess what? I told you all these things. Be careful for my country, man. I want to save my country, man, for the nation. Guess what, man? You looking for a nation. He can't save you. He want to get saved by the king. But it's not going to work for him, man. Read.
Be careful for our country and our nation, which is pressed on every side, according to the clemency that thou readily showest unto all.
So why you see how he's talking? You see how Alchemist talking? He's telling them, he said, wherefore, king, seeing that thou knowest all things, be careful for the country in our nation. Because guess what we supposed to be did in 1 Maccabees chapter 1, verse 41. If everybody forgetting, I'm trying to get to the main focal point, but we wanted to hit hard. Go back to Maccabees 1 and 41. Hold your precept right quick. He kept calling the heathens. He kept saying, be careful for our country.
The book of 1 Maccabees chapter 1, verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to the whole kingdom that all should be one people.
This is what this fool's talking about, man. He's talking about the order of their king, not the order of our Lord and Savior, man. Not the order of the Most High God. He's talking about the order of the laws of the land over the Most High God's laws, man. He don't forsake God's law, went to their law. It's not gonna work out. You can't do that. These things don't mix. So he telling. That's why he's saying in verse 9, saying, "Wherefore, O king, seeing that thou knowest all things, be careful for the country and our nation." Bro, you had nothing to do with us. You got nothing to do with us. Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Read on, Doc.
Which is pressed on every side.
He says, pressed on every side. Read.
According to the clemency that thou readily showest unto all.
Read.
For as long as Judas liveth.
He said, for as long as Judas liveth, read.
It is not possible that the state should be quiet.
He said it ain't gonna be quiet. Because guess what? He way better than Jingle. He make a lot of noise. That means he's gonna be kicking butt and taking names, man. Bless you. Read on.
This was no sooner spoken of him,
Mm-hmm.
but others of the king's friends,
But others of the king's friend, read.
being maliciously set against Judas, being more incensed Demetrius,
Did more incense Demetrius, man. Read.
and forthwith calling Nicanor, who had been master of the elephants.
So now, guess what, man? This is another one of Antiochus general. Nicanor. He saying, I need Nicanor to go over there. Since Judas over there, I need Nicanor to go over there and kick some butt, man. So Nicanor had great power, but we're gonna read into that because Nicanor did have a lot of great power because he didn't just have a king. He didn't just have the blessings of the king behind him. He had the people behind him, and he also had a great army with, like you say, he was a keeper of elephants. If you watch any kind of the middle of what's called medieval movies, they got the big animals, and they got elephants. They can tear down walls and all that. He had all of those things, man.
And real quick, because if you go to 1 Maccabees chapter, we ain't got to go, but I just want to show y'all. 1 Maccabees chapter 7. 1 Maccabees chapter 7 and 2 Maccabees chapter 14 and 15, they line up hand in hand. 14 and 15 give you certain in-depth on the story. And 2 Maccabees chapter 7 will give you the other in-depth on the story. So how Alcimus, why they went and got Nicanor was because in chapter 7, it show you that what? Judas Maccabees was knocking out Alcimus and all he was trying to do. See, like I said, Alcimus was wicked as hell. But he was trying to bring other men in general to try to defeat Judas Maccabees, but he couldn't, so they had to go get Nicanor. I want to read this, though, and show you who Nicanor was. Go to 1 Maccabees chapter 7, verse 26. So when you start at 23, you'll see that Alcimus, he knew that he wasn't going to be able to beat Judas Maccabees by himself. So they were like, we got to go get somebody for this nigga. Let's see who they went and got.
Start verse 23.
Oh, go read verse 23. Let's read down. Let's show you. Go to 1 Maccabees chapter 7, verse 23. Start at 23.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The book of 1 Maccabees chapter 7, verse 23.
Mm-hmm.
Now when Judas saw all the mischief that Alcimus and his company had done among the Israelites, even above the heathen.
So he saw all the mischief that Alcimus was committing, all this wickedness that he was trying to do just to be the high priest, man, of the other nation. Read on.
He went out into all the coasts of Judea around about, and took vengeance of them that had revolted from him.
So he said, I see you, Alcimus. I'm going to raise you, though, some more vengeance, though. You can't stop us. Read on.
So that they durst no more go forth into the country.
Mm-hmm.
On the other side, when Alcimus saw that Judas and his company had gotten the upper hand.
So when Alcimus, he saw that Judas and them had started winning, right? That he wasn't playing no games. He already knew who Judas was, but now Alcimus is seeing that Judas they done took over. Judas Maccabees done took over. Read on.
And knew that he was not able to abide therefore.
So he knew that he wasn't going to be able to handle him. Read on.
He went again to the king and said all the worst of them that he could.
So he went back to the king, this wicked button, told the king probably things that he wasn't doing or he wasn't doing. He was just saying all the wicked things. Said the most wicked stuff that he could have told him, he went back to the king and told him. So what did they do? They went and got Nicanor. Let's see who Nicanor was, though. Read 26.
Then the king sent Nicanor, one of his honorable princes, a man that barely diddly hate.
Read that again.
Shalaka. A man that bare diddly hate unto Israel.
So Nicanor, they had to go get Nicanor because he was what? A man that bare deadly hate toward Israel, man. See, Alcimus was still one of us, so he really didn't have that hatred as Nicanor did. But Nicanor was a man that bare deadly hate toward Israel. So when you go back and you see in Nicanor that he was a master of the elephants and things, it just gives you a little more in-depth on this who actually Nicanor was. He was a man that bare deadly hate. Go ahead, read that out, though.
With commandment to destroy the people.
Mm-hmm.
Nicanor came to Jerusalem with a great force, and sent unto Judas and his brethren deceitfully with friendly words, saying.
That's all I want to go to. I just want to touch that right quick because that's going into something else too. I mean, it's going into the same thing, but we'll have to keep reading and have to go back and forth. But just to show you that chapter 7, First Maccabees, lines up with chapter 14 and 15 of Second Maccabees. It just gives you more in depth. One of them give you more on this side, other one give you more on that side.
Like I was saying, that further it explains how the story, like you say, to get the key points. That's why you got to go precept upon precept to do what? To get the better understanding of the Bible, right?
Right. So remember that Nicanor had great hate for us. So when somebody got great hate for you, they don't matter what they don't care what they'll do to you, right? Yeah. Go ahead. Let's get back to it. Go ahead. We're going back to 2 Maccabees chapter 14.
Let's start at verse 12 right quick. Right?
The book of 2 Maccabees chapter 14 verse 12. And forthwith calling Nicanor, who had been masters of the elephant, and making him governor of Judea.
And making Nicanor governor of Judea, read.
He sent him forth, commanding him to slay Judas.
He said to slay Judas, man, read.
And scatter them that were with him, and to make Alcimus high priest of the great temple.
So guess what? He went over there to the other side so he can go get his rank, man. But sound just like a nigga. Boy, I'm talking about wicked nigga don't do that, man. He'll go to the other side so he can go get his rank, man. That's pretty tough, man. These scriptures say what they say, man. Jump down to verse 17.
Verse 17. Now Simon, Judas' brother, had joined battle with Nicanor, but was somewhat discomfited through the sudden silence of his enemies.
So Simon, which is Judas' brother, this is the one that was what? The great counselor, the one that was the brain of the operation, right? He went into battle against Nicanor, right? But he was like, dang, they moving a little different than this ain't the regular, you know what I'm saying? This something a little different. I'm used to them coming and he looking, but he could perceive that it was different because it was too quiet, man. This wasn't the same. You know, he saw they run around wild and they ain't doing it. Like, so hold on, let me see. So now he trying to re-strategize what's going on. Read.
Nevertheless, Nicanor, hearing of the manliness of them that were with Judas, and the courageousness that they had to fight for their country, durst not try the matter by the sword.
So now Nicanor looking, he like, boy, these dudes like they is pretty tough. So let's not try this matter by the sword. Now here come Esau with his what? Let's go to Psalm chapter 55.
That's why I say you got it. When you go back there, that's what I'm saying. We're gonna wait for that. Some peaceable words, man.
Psalm chapter 55. Y'all should know this. In verse 20.
The book of Psalms, chapter 55, verse 20. He had put forth his hands against such as to be at peace with him. He had broken his covenant.
And he had broke. This is what he do. He had put forth his hand to be at peace with you. He broken his covenant. Read.
The words of his mouth were smoother than butter.
He said the words of his mouth were smoother than butter. Read.
But war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil. Yet were there drawn swords.
And it was drawn swords, man. This is his words, man. Let's go back to him. Watch this.
Verse 19. Wherefore he sent Poseidonus and pronounce that. Theodatus and Mattathias, in Mattathias to make peace.
So he sent them over there to see what's up. Okay, let's make some peace. Okay, read.
So when they had taken long advisement thereupon, and the captain had made the multitude acquainted therewith, and it appeared that they were all of one mind, they consented to the covenant.
So they ended up, okay, Maccabees got the covenant with them right now. Then let's be at peace. Then let's all be at peace. Let's kumbaya. You got something you can do? Let's all be at peace. Let's kumbaya. But watch this. Jump down to verse 25. Watch what this fool did.
Verse 25.
No, matter of fact, jump up to verse 24.
Verse 24. And he would not willingly have Judas out of his sight, for he loved the man from his heart. He prayed him also to take his wife.
So he prayed him also. He prayed him also
to take a wife.
To take wife, yeah.
His wife. Nah, he ain't gonna give him his wife.
It sound right.
He gonna give him his.
He prayed him also to take a wife.
To take a wife, read.
And to beget children. So he married. And quiet he took part of this life.
So now you see how they going? This is what the other nation do anyway. To get us on their side. Hey man, they send their lapdogs over there. These Edomite women. Hey, I need you to go over there and go holler at this fool right quick. I need you to go seduce him and get some children by him. You know, treat them good. She going with the game plan. She gonna go do everything that. Guess what? Go ahead.
Read 23 right quick, because this is what he did though. Before he did that, read 23.
Verse 23. Now Nicanor abode in Jerusalem and did no hurt.
So he wasn't causing no harm. He abode in Jerusalem. He ain't causing no harm. But what did he do?
But sent away the people that came flocking unto him.
He sent away the people that was with Judas though. The soldiers, the riders. It was all part of his plan. So he was smart. See, I ain't causing no war. I ain't doing no problem. Nicanor right? Judas right. I'm chilling. But go on and send your people home, man. He got a conscious effort to try to get over on this boy. I'm thinking. That's what the Edomites do, right? While you sleep, they thinking of a way to get your butt. We can't beat them tap for tap. But if I send these people home, show them a little love, I can get them.
See,
that's it.
But what precept brothers should be thinking about?
Psalms 55:2.
No, not just that. What? Sirach 12:16. Man. Yo, y'all take that long and go read it. That's it. I'll take that long. We got to go read it, man. Sirach 12:16. 12 and 10.
12.
On down to 16.
So I'm going to say 10 and 16.
The book of Sirach, chapter 12, verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness.
So guess what? This is why we commanded not to trust him. We read what our forefathers went through. Jump down to verse 16.
Verse 16. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit.
This is what's going on. Read.
He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood.
He ain't gonna be satisfied with blood, man. Then when he'll be satisfied with blood, he'll kill you. Then what he gonna do? Go over there and take the women and children.
That's right. You want some more?
He want it all, man. Socks and drawers.
That's right.
Let's go back over. 2 Maccabees chapter 14.
Yeah, we read 25. You can start at 26.
26.
He told him to take a wife, get children, and he did that.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 14, verse 26. But Alcimus, perceiving the love that was betwixt them, and considering the covenants that were made, came to Demetrius.
So now Alcimus seen the covenant that Judas and Maccabees had, and Alcimus seen the covenant that Judas and Maccabee had with Nicanor. He looking at the covenant, so he's like, hold on, man. This nigga just made a covenant with him. I think he kind of liking him a little too much, man. Why? Well, you're just doing a little too much over here, Nicanor. I thought you supposed to be destroying this dude. You You don't let him have a baby with one of these women and everything. Well, like, what's up? So he went behind their back. Alcimus went behind their back, and he told the king, like, hey, man, this dude right here, he done made a covenant with this dude and everything. Alcimus, but guess what? Nicanor wanted to. Guess what? He had it on his mind, but he's thinking like, dang Maccabee, he's probably one of the brothers, man. He's a brother. That's what they talk about. They calls in their job. What's up, brother? He's one of the brothers. You know what I'm saying? What's up, sister? They one of the sisters and brothers.
So really, Alcimus really messed up the plan, which was for our great, for their destruction, right?
That's right.
Because Nicanor waiting along, he trying to wait around, but Alcimus seeing it, he like, man, you're sending Nicanor over here. He ain't doing nothing. He done made a covenant with this dude. It's gonna make Alcimus go. I mean, it's gonna make Nicanor go on and get down.
That's right. Read on.
Came to Demetrius and told him that Nicanor was not well affected toward the state.
He said Nicanor. He said he's not in the right mind, man. This this right here, all the order that you just doing. That's right. This is affecting the state, man. Read.
But that he had ordained Judas, a traitor to the realm, to be king's successor.
He said, so the dude he's supposed to be putting in jail and killing and all this, he made this dude the king's successor. He's like he's what you call this, an ally to us now. Read on.
Then the king being in a rage.
So now the king is in a rage because Nicanor didn't do what the plan was. But like you say, his whole plan, guess what? He didn't know Nicanor's plan. Nicanor's plan was still to overthrow us. But guess what? Alcimus messed it up because he's seen too much happiness going on. I can't stand the happiness.
Can't stand
these niggas.
Don't trust them little niggas over there.
Said I hate my hand, the back of my hand, because it's black. I hate my gums because it's black. Like, hate everything. Watch this read.
And provoked with the accusations of the most wicked men, wrote to Nicanor, signifying that he was much displeased with the covenant, and commanding him that he should send Maccabees prisoner in all haste to Antioch.
So now, King is mad. He wrote that to Nicanor. So he said, no, I need you to throw this dude in prison, man. This is what I want you to do. Jump down to verse 30.
Verse 30. Notwithstanding, when Maccabees saw that Nicanor began to be churlish unto him.
So Maccabees seen that Nicanor, churlish mean like
His countenance changed a little bit toward
he kind of handled them a little rough. You a little different today. You were it was all good just a week ago. You doing something different now. Read.
And that he entreated him more roughly than he was wont.
But we say, know these Negroes, man. We say, you handle me a little too rough, man. Hold on, can't talk to me like that. You handle me a little too rough, man. Read on.
Perceiving that such sour behavior came not of good.
He said, hold on, partner. Well, you treat me, this ain't good, man. Oh, wait, I'm just letting you know. You're doing a little too much now.
So what did he do?
He gathered together not a few of his men and withdrew himself from Nicanor.
And that's what happened.
So Alcimus done messed it up. What matter? I mean, Shalaki, what can Maccabees do? He called up the boys. He called up the brews.
Said, man, step back, man.
Yeah. See, Alcimus, Nicanor was like, go on and send him home. When Alcimus messed up the plan, Maccabees said, yeah, call up the brews, man. Call all the brews up. Call them up now. Shit.
See, it's time to roll. Because what he doing, I seen that behavior in him before. That's why Maccabee was a man of war. He know the difference between, guess what, I'm going to tell you something. Everybody in here can speak a different language. We say everybody in here spoke a different language. We didn't understand none of each other's tongue. Guess what we all understand? Violence. No matter who you is, you understand violence, no matter how it goes. Everybody understands violence, right? Verse 30.
Verse 30. Notwithstanding, when Maccabees saw that Nicanor began to be churlish unto him, and that he entreated him more roughly,
read,
than he was wont.
Than he wanted him to treat him. Read.
Perceiving that such sour behavior came not of good.
He said this sour behavior didn't come of good, read.
He gathered together not a few of his men, and withdrew himself from Nicanor.
And they left him, man, because they already know what this dude's about. Read on.
But the other, knowing that he was notably prevented by Judas' policy,
by Judas' policy, read.
Came into the great and holy temple and commanded the priests that were offering their usual sacrifice to deliver him, the man.
So now, these people slung, bro. So now these people, they wanted the Levites, they wanted the priests to give up Judas, right? But read on though.
And when they swore that they could not tell where the man was,
so they told him, man, I don't know where he at. I don't know where he at, read.
Whom he saw.
Whom he saw, read.
He stretched out his right hand.
So now, remember, y'all remember, he said he stretched forth his right hand to the temple, read.
And made an oath in this manner.
So he made an oath behind this. So when you swear, like, nigga, I swear to God, guess what? You making an oath. You making an oath. You can say it and try to say it. Guess what? He made an oath. Read that again. I want y'all to be very clear. Verse 33. Y'all keep this in mind.
Verse 33 from the top. He stretched out his right hand toward the temple and made an oath in this manner. If you would not deliver me Judas as a prisoner.
He said, if you don't deliver me Judas as a prisoner, read.
I will lay this temple of God even with the ground.
He said he gonna lay it even with the ground. What does that mean?
He's gonna destroy it.
He's gonna destroy the temple, man. He wanted to destroy the temple. This is how that wicked man dude wicked as heck, man. Trying to calm my tongue down when you know these stories get you hyped up. They had always tried to let me see if I can catch it right quick. They have it's just like because every time they would go, why do you think they always in a manner every time they conquer us, they always went for what? Our temple every time. If we can go for these Negro temples, then we can do what? We can destroy their heritage, we can destroy their nation, we can destroy their customs, we can destroy the food that they eat, we can take their mind smoothly off their God and they will be one with us as a people. And this is what we got here in America, right? Go to 1 Ezra chapter 5 and verse 73. This is going into the hindrance of the temple being built, but the point of the matter is that they have always, every time there was something concerning us, they wanted us to be hindered. They want us to be hindered according to. They always wanted us to be hindered. Read this.
You say 5 and what?
5 and 73.
Okay. 5 and 73?
First Ezra 5 and 73.
Oh, First Ezra, I'm sorry. 5 and 73.
First Ezra 5 and 73.
Okay. The book of First Ezra, chapter 5, verse 73. And by their secret plots and popular persuasions and commotions, they hindered the finishing of the building all the time that King Cyrus lived. So they were hindering from building for the space of 2 years until the reign of Darius.
Until the reign of Darius. So he hindered the building of the temple for 2 years. They have always kept us. Our temple was one of the main things. Guess what? And what temple do they hinder right now? This temple right here. They put pork in everything. It's some kind of pork. It's everything, man. No matter what you do, man. That's why you go in the grocery store, you see so many people. You can see the Israelites in the grocery store. They're going to be in there reading the hell out of these bottles. Because you don't know what's in it. Because if you do, just so happen to forget, then all of a sudden you get sick. You're like, dang, what I'm sick for? You look in the picture like, dang, this boy got some pork. Chunk of that mug. Say, you looking at things saying beef chili, and you eat them chili hot dog, boy, it's good in the mud to you. You look at that can, that boy got that pork on it, boy. Everybody at the table, stop eating. Put it down, throw it away, man. This is how they always hindered our temple. They always want to destroy our temple. The temple of the building gone right now. So guess what temple they trying to destroy now? This temple. There's always something on attack of our temple. Point blank period, man. Let's go back to 2 Maccabean. You see in verse 33.
Verse 33 from the top. The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 14, verse 33. He stretched out his right hand toward the temple and made an oath in this manner. If ye will not deliver me, Judas, as a prisoner,
read.
I will lay this temple of God, even with the ground.
Dang, read.
And I will break down the altar and erect a notable temple unto Bacchus.
He said he gonna make a notable temple unto Bacchus, man. He already know that's going into Satan, to the devil. This is what this weak Edomite was talking, man. Jump down to verse 37, man. Gonna get into our forefather Rasmus. Now, this giving us a better understanding. We want brothers and sisters to understand this too. Rasmus, man, look, they finna esteem him on the high, but he had fear. And this will happen when you go into fear. Read this out.
The book of 2 Maccabean, chapter 14, verse 37.
Uh-huh.
Now was there accused unto Nicanor, one Rasmus.
So now he said, now this was accused to Nicanor, this guy Rasmus, right? Read.
One of the elders of Jerusalem.
He was one of the elders of Jerusalem.
A lover of his countrymen.
He was a lover of the countrymen, read.
A man of very good report.
Uh-huh.
Who for his kindness was called a father of the Jews.
So now for his kindness, he was called a father of the Jews, man. That means a person, he was real fervent, man. The people loved him. That's why when people looked at him as a father, man. Read.
For in the former time, when they mingled not themselves with the Gentiles,
uh-huh,
he had been accused of Judaism.
He had been going to Judaism and going to keeping God's laws. Read.
And did boldly jeopard his body and life with all vehemency for the religion of the Jews.
So guess what, man? If he had to fast and pray not to eat something that the king made, say the king made a decree that all the people was come out and have a function for 10 days. Then they Paul supposed to go out. Guess what he'd do? He would go eat nothing. He made his body a living sacrifice. And guess what? He did the work. Whatever the Lord wanted him to do, he was real fervent in the spirit. But even no matter how fervent you are in the spirit, you cannot let your spirit trouble you and let fear set in you. And then when you let fear set in you, things start to happen, man. Read on out.
Verse 39. So Nicanor, willing to declare the hate that he bare unto the Jews.
He said, so Nicanor, willing to declare the hate that he bare among the Jews, read.
Sent above 500 men of war to take him.
He said he sent about 500 men of war to take him, man. Read.
For he thought to taking him to do the Jews much hurt.
He wanted to do the Jews much hurt, man. Read on.
Salaki. For he thought by taking him to do the Jews much hurt.
Salaki. He said he thought about taking Rasmus. If he take Rasmus, it's going to do the Jews much hurt, man. Right? Read.
Now when the multitude would have taken the tower.
And so now when the multitude that was supposed to be going to take the tower, read.
And violently broken into the outer door. And bade that fire should be brought to burn it.
To burn it, read.
He being ready to be taken on every side fell upon the sword.
He said, so who he that been ready to be ready to be taken on every side, they fell upon the sword. But watch how, man, this is pivotal that we read this part. Because when brothers and sisters get in fear, things start to happen and you get yourself in trouble, man. Read.
Choosing rather to die manfully.
He said choosing, now in his mind, this was supposed to be dying manfully. Read.
Then to come into the hands of the wicked. To be abused otherwise, than beseem his noble birth. So
now he's saying, no, I'm not finna let these heathen kill me. Well, who did this sound like? Who did it sound like? 1 Samuel chapter 30. I told you when y'all slow to the draw, I'm gonna go there. You better come on with it. 1 Samuel chapter 30. Yeah, 1 Samuel. Let me see. Yes. You saying King Saul? I need precept. You know, that's why we talk. You talking, but yes. 1 Samuel chapter 31 in verse 3.
The book of 1 Samuel chapter 31 verse 3. And the battle went sore against Saul, and the archers hit him.
And the archers hit Saul, read.
And he was sore wounded of the archers. Then said Saul unto his armor bearer, draw thy sword, and thrust me through therewith, lest their uncircumcised come and thrust me through.
And
Beuse me. and beuse me. But his armor bearer would not.
And his armor bearer would not, read.
For he was so afraid. Therefore Saul took his sword and fell upon him.
So he was so afraid. Guess what? Saul, guess what? He didn't want to touch Saul, so Saul grabbed his sword and he fell upon him. Now this is the same thing Razzus wanted to do too. But if he knew the history with Saul, he didn't supposed to do that, man. You don't supposed to go kill yourself. That ain't how anything goes, man. And what happened when you being afraid? Go to Nehemiah 6, verse 13. This is what happened when you be afraid, man. We got to make sure we cast out that fear, man, of the Most High God, man.
The book of Nehemiah, chapter 6, verse 13. Therefore was he hired, that I should be afraid.
That I should be afraid, read.
And do so in sin.
So when you go into being afraid or you go into fear, you do so in sin. Now, we know we're supposed to have fear of the Most High God in us. But guess what, man? The Most High God commanded doesn't make our face strong against their face, right? Read.
And that they might have matter for an evil report. That they might reproach me.
That they might reproach me. Let's go back. 2 Maccabean chapter 14 and verse. It said, we read verse 42, read verse 43.
Read 43. The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 14, verse 43. But missing his stroke through haste, the multitude also rushing within the door.
Read.
He ran boldly up to the wall.
He ran boldly up to the wall.
Cast himself down manfully among the thickest of them.
So he said, no, I ain't gonna let these heathen kill me. So what he did, he jumped off the wall and thrust himself down into the crowd of the people, right? Read.
But they quickly given back, and a space being made.
So now, you know how a person, if he was trying to crowd surf, he jump off the stage and he jump in the midst of the crowd. They don't catch it. What happened? Everybody scoot back. Boom, he hit the ground, right? So this is what this fool did. He ran, jumped off the building. He hit the ground. Boom. Read.
He fell down into the midst of the void place. Nevertheless, while there was yet breath within him.
So guess what? He fell down, but guess what? He didn't die. There was still breath in him. Read.
Being inflamed with anger.
So now he inflamed with anger because he ain't dead. He like, dang, he mad at the mother. He thought it was over. Nope. Read.
He rose up.
He rose up, read.
And though his blood gushed out like spots of water.
Blood gushing out everywhere, read.
And his wounds were grievous. Yet he ran through the midst of the throne and standing upon a steep rock.
So he running around, and guess what, man? He's wounded real bad. He running through the midst of the thing. Now he's standing on a steep rock. Watch this.
When as his blood was not quite gone, he plucked out his bowels.
So he grabbed and he plucked out his bowels out of his body, read.
And taking them in both his hands, he cast them upon the throne.
So he cast them, like he took his bowels and just cast them out, man, everywhere, man. Like a dang on fool, man. Read.
And calling upon the Lord of life in spirit to restore him those again. Thus he does die.
So he does die. So what does that let y'all know? Go to Deuteronomy 32 and 39. This should let us know. Lil Johnny can't pull no gun and kill you. Lil Rico, Lil Bobby, Lil John, they can't come kill you without the Most High God letting it happen, man. You can't even kill yourself, man, without the Most High God letting it happen. Read that out.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32, verse 39. And see not, and see that I, even I, am he, and there is no God with me.
He said, ain't no God with me, man. This is just the Most High God. Say, ain't no God with me, man. Read.
I kill.
He said, he killed.
And I make alive.
He said, I make alive, man. Read.
I wound. And I heal.
Read.
Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand.
So this is going back. The only way he can die is that the Most High God allow him to die. He can't die. You can try to kill yourself 100 times. Guess what? You just be shooting yourself in the head over and over again. The Lord don't allow it. You can't come. That's crazy how, you can thank you. Man, that's a dang old shame. He killed himself, yeah. The Lord allowed it. Because I got a person I went to high school with. Guess what happened? Yeah, he was with this girl. He was in love with her. He drove his car off the cliff. Now he lived the rest of his life paralyzed. And he is what it is. He tried to kill himself, but when Most High God don't allow it, it can't happen. It just can't happen. Go to 2 Maccabees chapter 15. It just can't happen, man. It is what But it say, it is what it is. Chapter 15, start at verse 1.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 15, verse 1.
Uh-huh.
But Nicanor, hearing that Judas and his company were in the strong places about Samaria,
Read.
resolved without any danger to set upon them on the Sabbath day.
So what they wanted to do was what? Was want to go fight with us on the Sabbath day. What are we supposed to be doing on the Sabbath day, man?
Worship God and rest.
That's it. But guess what? They said, you know what? You know what, these niggas, we're gonna go on the Sabbath day and we're gonna go kick their butt on the Sabbath day, man. read it out.
Nevertheless, the Jews that were compelled to go with him said, "O destroy not so cruelly and barbarously, but give honor to that day, which he that seeth all things hath honored with holiness above other days."
So now, do y'all see how the correlation is going? Nicanor has what with him? Jews that's with them, and he trying to tell them, don't do that on the Sabbath day.
Right.
They like, hold on.
Right.
They really didn't want to pervert the read verse 2 again because this is heavy, man. Read it.
Verse 2 from the top. Nevertheless, the Jews that were compelled to go with him said,
They were compelled to go with him. Going with who? They was going with Nicanor to go fight Judas Maccabees on the Sabbath day, man. Read.
"O destroy not so cruelly and barbarously,
And don't do this cruelly and barbarously, man. Read.
but give honor to that
He
day,
said, give honor to the Sabbath day, man. Read.
which he that seeth all things hath honored with holiness above other days."
So now he's telling them this day is honored above all other days, man. Read on.
Then the most ungracious wretch demanded, if there were a mighty one in heaven that had commanded the Sabbath day to be kept. And when they said, "There is a heaven, a living Lord."
And mighty.
Salaki, there is in heaven a living Lord and mighty, who commanded the 7th day to be kept holy.
So it's to be kept.
To be kept, I'm sorry. I'm getting to it, Daniel.
Verse 5.
Then said the other, "And I also am mighty upon the earth."
So he's saying, guess what? The Lord is mighty in heaven. Guess what? Nicanor said, I'm mighty upon the earth. He talking big talk. Read.
"And I command to take arms and to do the king's business. Yet he obtained not to have this wicked well done." And Nicanor,
So Nicanor,
an exceeding proud and haughty, determined to set up a public monument of his victory over Judas and them that were with him.
so now he said, I wanna lay this victory up. You know how the Esau, if they defeat us, they gonna always put their monuments up. That's why even some of our elementary school called by some of their names. Robert E. Lee, all these little things, man. Come on, man. All them dudes weak as water, man. Read.
But Maccabees had ever sure confidence that the Lord would help him.
So guess what? They know they supposed to be supposed to be wrestling. But Maccabees had confidence that the Lord gonna help them. Why? Go first Maccabees chapter 2, right quick. First Maccabees chapter 2. Go to verse 40. Verse 40.
Verse 40. The book of 1 Maccabees chapter 2, verse 40.
Because this is not the first time they ever tried to fight us on the Sabbath, man. Read that.
And one of them said to another, "If we all do as our brethren have done, and fight not for our lives in laws against the heathen, they will now quickly root us out of the earth."
So he's telling them, look, if we don't fight for our laws and for our lives, they're gonna root us out of the earth, man. Read.
At that time, therefore they decreed, saying, "Whosoever shall come to make battle with us on the Sabbath day, we will fight against him."
He said we're gonna fight against them, man, because they know we supposed to be keeping the Sabbath. So since they know we supposed to be keeping the Sabbath, you know the Lord, guess what? He a just God, man. He allowed Judas Maccabees. Guess what? He said they want to come fight with y'all on the Sabbath day. Guess what we gonna do? We gonna go to war with them on the Sabbath day. So what are we doing out on the street every Sabbath? Going to war with them on every Sabbath day. That's why we just not in the temple or not in the churches. That's why we not in the schools all day long, just worshiping the Lord and reading. Now we going out to battle every Sabbath day. They want to battle us on the Sabbath day? Okay, then let's go. But we ain't gonna physically battle you. We gonna go spiritually, and we gonna spiritually kick your butt with these scriptures, man. All praise to the Most High for that, man. Read that out.
Neither will we die all as our brethren that were murdered in the secret places.
So now he said, neither will we not die all that was murdered in the secret places. So guess what? And also we got to know this. Guess what? If we had to fight on the Sabbath day, guess what? So be it. Talking about physical. So be it. It is what it is. We ain't going to look for no fight, but we will defend ourselves though. That's what they ain't show. Go back to 2 Maccabees chapter 15. And we're going to go to, we stop at verse 8.
Where we at, 8?
No, verse 8.
The book of 2 Maccabees chapter 15 verse 8. Wherefore he exhorted his people not to fear the coming of the heathen against them.
So now, he looking at Razzie. Just y'all keep in mind. Guess what? Nicanor wanted to kill Razzie. Razzie was what? It was weak in the faith about a heathen killing him till he tried to kill himself. So he telling those Maccabees looked upon all this stuff what happened. He said, look, man, look, y'all don't be afraid of their army. Don't be afraid of that. The Most High God got it. We got a God that's going to fight for us. Y'all don't be afraid of it. We got this, man. Right? Read.
But to remember the help which in former days, but to remember the help which in former time they had received from heaven, and now to expect the victory in aid, which shall come unto them from the Almighty.
He said, don't worry about it. The victory in the age is going to come from the Almighty. The Most High God going to fight our battles, right? Let's go. Read.
And so comforting them out of the law.
Comforting them out of the law, read.
In the prophets.
And the prophets, read.
And whether putting them in mind of the battle that they won afore.
They won afore, read.
He made them more cheerful.
So guess what? Maccabees, guess what? So guess what? He basically just going into the scriptures, showing how our forefathers got down. Guess what? Put brothers back into the spirit. They ready to fight, man. Read.
And when he had stirred up their minds, he gave them their charge, showing them their withal the falsehood of the heathen and the breach of oath.
So now he said, man, look, let me show y'all the falsehood and the breach of oath that they do, man. Because they stretch forth their hands and be at peace with us, guess what they have? They have war in their heart against us, right? We don't.
Thus he armed every one of them, not so much with defense of shields and spears.
Read.
In spears,
In spears.
As with comfortable and good words. And besides that, he told them to dream worthy to be believed. As if he had been so indeed, which he did not little rejoice them.
So now he basically going into, look, he didn't just arm them with the spears and the swords and the shields. No, he armed them with the word of the Most High God to strengthen them because he was getting ready to go into a real heated battle for our nation, man. Read on now.
And this was his vision.
And this is the vision, man.
That Ananias, who had been high priest, a virtuous and a good man.
He's a virtuous and a good man. So guess what? That type of man is a virtuous man can be able to get a virtuous woman. The Most High God is not going to give a wicked woman. He's not going to give a virtuous woman to a wicked man. You'll take the virtue away from her. He's not going to give a wicked woman to a virtuous man. He'll take the virtue out of that man. See how these things correlate? Guess what, man? Brothers got to be fervent, man. You want you a virtuous woman? Guess what? You got to be a virtuous man, too. And we read an account that this Onias was a virtuous man, right? Read.
Riven in conversation, gentle in condition, well spoken also, and exercised from a child in all points of virtue, holding up his hands, praying for the whole body of the Jews.
So he was praying for the whole body of the Jews, man. Read.
This done in like manner, there appeared a man with gray hair, and exceedingly glorious, who was of the wonderful and excellent majesty.
He said, now, Ananias prayed for them, but now he see a man that's coming. He's got gray hair, and he's got majesty on him. I mean, he got glory on him, right? Read.
Then Onias answered, saying, this is a lover of the brothers.
He said, this dude right here that's coming, he's a lover of the brethren, man. Read.
Who prayed much for the people.
He said he prayed much for the people. Read.
And for the holy city. To wit, Jeremiah, the prophet of God.
So guess what? Jeremiah, the prophet of the Most High God, came into. Guess what? When Maccabees making this, man, look here. This is how a real seer supposed to be making the story come to life when we break down the Bible. Y'all understand that? This is how we supposed to do. We supposed to make the vision of the Bible come to light. Read.
Whereupon Jeremiah, holding forth his right hand, gave to Judas a sword of gold.
He said he gave him a sword of gold. Read.
And a given it spake thus. Take this holy sword, a gift from God.
It was a what?
A gift from God.
And he said this was a gift from God. Read.
With the which thou shalt wound an adversary.
He said adversary. Salaki. He said he shall wound the adversary. Now we know that the Most High God, watch this. The same sword that the Most High God was telling Jeremiah on Jeremiah chapter 50 verse. Watch him read. Chapter 50 verse 34. Make sure y'all write that down. Jeremiah chapter 50 verse 34. Their Redeemer is strong. The Lord of hosts is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause that he may give them rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon. Now this goes into speaking of Babylon, but the point of the matter of these next few verses is going into a sword that the Most High God is going to put down on the nations for us. Now that golden sword is going into that sword that he's going to put into Nicanor for us, right? Verse 35. A sword upon the Chaldeans, said the Lord, and upon the inhabitants of Babylon, and upon her princes, and upon the wise men. A sword upon the liars and they shall dote. A sword is upon her mighty men, and they shall be dismayed. A sword is upon their horses, and upon the chariots, and upon all the meager people that are in the midst of her, and they shall become as women. A sword is upon her treasure, and they shall be robbed. So the Most High God giving them the same might. That's why he was explaining how the Most High God is going to bring vengeance with his word. And he called his word, which is basically going into a sword. So Jeremiah gave them the same thing the Most High God gave him, which is a sword to break down the nations, right? Read on. And it's going to explain it a little bit better, because this golden sword is heavy. It's going to break in pieces the nation, right? But it was a little accident in two. Read it out.
Verse 17. Thus being well comforted by the words of Judas, which were very good,
read.
and able to stir them up to valor, and to encourage the hearts of the young men.
Read.
They determined not to pitch camp.
Read.
But courageously to set upon them, and manfully to try.
What we at?
Verse 17.
Read.
And manfully to try the matter by conflict.
He said, try the matter by conflict. Read.
Because the city of the sanctuary and the temple were in danger.
He said, the city and the temple were in danger, man. Jump down to verse 25, man.
Verse 25. Then Nicanor and they that were with him came forward with trumpets and songs.
So now the people that was with Nicanor, they came with trumpets and with songs, right? Read.
But Judas and his company encountered the enemies with invocations and prayer.
So now, well, they came with songs and they making a lot of noise. This wasn't this quiet battle that Simeon seen when he fought against Nicanor. No, this was a loud battle, and they wanted to bring the noise, right? That's what Esau say, let's bring the noise. Same that they speak the same language. They want to bring the noise. They tell you, how Esau want to fight. Come on, let's bring the noise. Yeah. Get quiet real quick, man. We get dropped, Esau. But like you say, Judas came with invocation and prayer, man. Supplication and prayer, man. Because he knew that the Most High God was going to fight this war for us, man. Well, once the Lord put them in dismay with the sword, with the word, guess what? He sent a word through them. They be dismayed. Now it's time to kill them all. Watch this. Read on, though.
Verse 27. So that fighting with their hands and praying unto God with their hearts.
So they're fighting with their hands and praying unto God with their hearts. Read.
They slew no less than 35,000 men.
So they slew 35,000 men, praying to God and slicing them and dicing them. And read.
For through the appearance of God, they were greatly cheered.
So through the appearance of God, they didn't have to make the noise like they was making noise. They were greatly cheered because the Most High God, guess what? Letting them bring the hammer down on them, man. Read.
Now when the battle was done, returned again with joy.
So now when the battle was done, it returned again with joy. Read.
They knew that Nicanor lay dead in his harness. They that made a great shout and a noise, praised the Almighty in their own language.
In their own language, read.
And Judas, who was ever the chief, defended the citizens both in body and mind.
Read.
And who continued his love toward his countrymen.
Because Judas continued to Lord, and he continued to fight towards the countryman because they went to war after war, man. Read.
All his life.
All his life, read.
Commanded to strike off Nicanor's head.
He commanded to strike off Nicanor's head, read.
In his hand with his shoulder. And bring them to Jerusalem.
Now, y'all remember what happened? He pointed his hand to what? The temple and said he's going to do what?
Not tear it down. He's going to bring it down to the ground.
And the same hands he pointed at the temple with, guess what the Lord
He
did?
took away from
He cut it off his body, man, from his shoulders, man. This is how God worked, man. Read.
Verse 31. So when he was there, he called them of his nation together and set the priests before the altar. He sent for them that were of the tower.
They were of the tower, read.
And showed them bowed Nicanor's head.
And he showed them Nicanor's head, read.
In the hand that they blasphemed.
In the hand that he blasphemed, pointing at the temple. Boy, look here, man. He said, shall not a dog move his tongue? Man, guess what? That's a blasphemy for them to talk against. Well, man, look at that's a blasphemy. Read.
Which with proud bags he had stretched out against the holy temple of the Almighty.
With proud brags, he had stretched forth against the holy temple. He bragged how he was going. I'm gonna lay the temple even. You ain't gonna do nothing. Read.
And when he had cut out the tongue of that ungodly Nicanor, he commanded that they should give it by pieces unto the fowls.
They throw it like the bread at the party. They throw their tongues and everything to the bread like you feed the bird at the party, man. Read.
And hang up the reward of his madness before the temple.
Read.
So every man prays toward the heaven, the glorious Lord, saying, blessed be he that had kept his own place undefiled.
Read.
He hang also Nicanor's head upon the tower.
He hang Nicanor's head upon the tower. Read.
An evident and manifest sign unto all of the help of the Lord.
Read.
And they ordained all with the common decree, in no case to let that day pass without
slow it down.
Solemnity.
Where we at?
Verse 36.
Yeah, solemnity. Yeah.
But to celebrate the 13th day of the 12th month.
So, man, what did we read? The first precept was Esther chapter 9, verse 16 through 18. We celebrate the 13th day of the month, of the 12th month.
Which in the Syrian tongue is called Adar.
Which is in the Syrian tongue is called Adar, read.
A day before Mardosha's day.
It said, a day before Mardosha's day. They speak it in the Greek tongue, but it's going into the day before Mordecai day. You know, not Mordecai. Who? The Purim, Shalaki. I'm thinking about 7 things at one time. Go ahead.
Thus went it with Nicanor, and from that time forth the Hebrews had the city in their power. And here will I make an end.
He said, here will I make an end, read.
And if I have done well, and as if it fitted the story, that it is which I desire.
He said, which he desired. Read on, Doc.
But if slenderly,
I got to start reading with you all because you seem like you're doing some stuff
my
today.
mouth is dry. But in slenderly and meanly, it is that which I could attain unto. For as it is hurtful to drink wine or water alone.
It's just like it's hurtful to drink wine and water alone, read.
As with wine mingling, but water is pleasant.
It's the wine mingling with water is pleasant, read.
And delighted the taste. Even so speech finally framed delighted the ears of them that read the story.
That read this story, read.
And here shall be an end.
And here shall be an end. That's why we got the destruction of Nicanor, man. So that's the reason why we go out. That's what, man, we celebrate these things, man. This is how the Lord expect us to do, man, to go celebrate. That's what the Esau, they celebrating they forefathers' victory. Guess what we doing? We're going to celebrate our forefathers' victory too, man. All praise to the Most High, man. Let's read. Let's get a, they said the law, statutes, and commandments, they one and the same, man. Let's go read the statute, man. Let's go back to Esther chapter 9. Read us a statute. In verse 19.
The book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 19.
Uh-huh.
Therefore the Jews of the village that dwelt in the unwalled town made the 14th day of the month Ador, a day of gladness and feasting, in a day in Shalata, in a good day, in a sending portion one to another.
Jump up to verse 18, July.
Verse 18. But the Jews that were at Shushan assembled together on the 13th day thereof, and on the 14th, and on the 14th thereof, and on the 15th day of the same they rested, and made it a day of feasting and gladness.
So that's when you got the destruction of Nicanor and the 2 days of Purim, man, which we're gonna go into on the Sabbath day. And with that, we're gonna say shalom.